What have you learned about difficult conversations over the past few years? For me, one of the things I've learned is that in most of them, emotions are very high. And unless you learn to manage your emotions and the emotions of others in those conversations, it's unlikely that the conversation will be productive. In this video, I'm going to share with you 6 tips. 3 about managing your own feelings and 3 about managing theirs. So let's start with tips for handling your own feelings in a difficult conversation. The first really important tip is actually becoming aware of the full range of feelings you have. In other words, allowing yourself to feel the feels and to separate that from the decision to whether you express them or not. So let me just do a little thought experiment with you. Think about the last difficult conversation you had, whenever that was. And think about a moment when you were feeling a really, really strong feeling. Write it down even. Maybe it was anger. Maybe it was rage. Maybe it was frustration. But now I want you to think about 3 other feelings that you were having at the same exact time. I don't know what you wrote down. Maybe it's something like confusion, or loneliness, or hurt, or vulnerability, or sadness. My guess, though, is that if I asked you to, there was this really kind of strong, loud feeling, and then a bunch of other emotions that were going on at the same time. And my experience has been that often in a difficult conversation, we are either unaware of our feelings, or we're only aware of the kind of loud or strong emotion. And what I want to invite you and encourage you to do is to really think about that full range of feelings. There's a reason for that, and it's going to be related to my 3rd tip. But let me then share something that is equally important, and it's the 2nd tip, which is to manage your own emotional refractory period. Well, what on earth is an emotional refractory period? So here's what the research has shown. If I'm in a difficult conversation and the other side says or does something that I find triggering, even though I might have planned this conversation out really well, and I kind of know how I want it to go, I know what the main point should be, in that moment when I'm feeling triggered, there's a part of our brain, this kind of second automatic level of our brain, that is feeling triggered and that releases a bunch of chemicals, like things like adrenaline and cortisol. And we all know what those feelings are like, right? We could feel our heart palpitating, or maybe we get sweaty, or maybe we go cold. That period is called an emotional refractory period. And it's often in that period when we do the really dumb, unconstructive thing. We get defensive. We call them a jerk. We say something that we ultimately regret. So it's kind of like you get the email that's telling you did something wrong, and like all of your colleagues are copied on the email and you're in your emotional refractory period. So you hit reply all, and then you say something and you're like, I can't even believe I said that. That was not smart, right? That's the emotional refractory period. And it can last for some people as long as 20 or even 30 minutes. During that period, you need to have a strategy, because the last thing you want to do is any harm in the conversation. So it might be taking a break, right? It might be just some deep breathing, right? It might be internally naming the feelings to tame them. But managing your emotional refractory period, very important. Then 3rd, once you're past the emotional refractory period, you want to consider whether and when to share the feelings. And this is where that first point comes into play. I may be feeling frustration, anger, vulnerability, and hurt. To be clear, right, you don't always share these feelings in a difficult conversation, but there are times when it makes sense to do so, because sometimes feelings are the reason why the conversation is difficult, and feelings can really be used as a way to create connection, to improve motivation, and to improve morale. So let's spend a few moments giving you 3 tips on how do I handle their feelings. So first, this is easy to say and really hard to do. Don't try to evaluate their feelings, or to fix their feelings, or to deny their feelings. Feelings have no actual moral value to them. They just are what they are. So you want to let them share their feelings, but saying things like, oh, that totally makes sense to me, right, actually isn't helpful. It's an evaluation. It suggests that other things they say or feelings they might share don't make sense, right? Or if you're trying to undo the way they feel, right, usually that doesn't land so well. So just let the feelings be what they are. Second point, and it's related to the first, is acknowledge the feelings. So to be clear, acknowledging the emotion is totally different from whether you think a normal person should have that emotion, whether you think it's okay that they have the emotion. It's simply reflecting it back to them. There's this great moment in the movie Inside Out where Bing Bong, who is this imaginary friend character, a main character in the show, is having a lot of really strong feelings. And it's blocking him from really moving forward in a productive way. And then this character, Sadness, does this amazing thing where she just acknowledges his feelings. And that in itself helps push the conversation forward.
Yeah, it's sad.
Last tip is the other person in this difficult conversation is unlikely to be super skillful in sharing their feelings. One of the ways the feelings will come through is as personal attacks and judgments against you. Your job is to see those attacks, those judgments, as a marker for their feelings. So if someone says something like, "You're a total disgrace," right? That is a personal attack. The way to see it as a marker for feelings is to say something like, "It seems like you feel really disappointed in me." Some years ago, I was involved in a mediation between two really high-level executives. And one of the things that I found most skillful is one of the parties who was in this mediation was incredibly skillful at fielding what was just a barrage of personal attacks from the other side. And every single time she would say, "Wow, it sounds like you saw me as a really disappointing mentor. Wow, it sounds as if you feel really unfairly treated." My role in this mediation became incredibly easy because this person was so good at fielding each of the personal attacks and then reframing it into a feeling. And after about 15 minutes of that, the other person was able to move into a problem-solving mode. Finding a way to handle strong emotions, your own and the other side's, is absolutely essential in a difficult conversation. It means, with respect to your own emotion, becoming fully aware of the wide range of emotions you're having. 2, managing your emotional refractory period. And 3, considering both the whether and the when to share the feelings. With respect to the emotions of the other person, avoid trying to evaluate, fix, or deny their feelings. Acknowledge the existence of the emotion. Think about Sadness and Bing Bong and Inside Out. And 3rd, when the other side is lobbing personal attacks against you, see it as a marker for their feelings. If you want to continue your journey on improving as a negotiator, watch this next video, When Should You Not Negotiate at All? And of course, please subscribe to this channel, ring the bell, and click like. It would make me feel all sorts of happy. Okay, you know it'll make you glad to keep watching. Keep on watching.